want to move your life forward in the most positive way using astrology? Then let's talk about the astrological patterns for July 2014. The month begins with Mercury turning direct on July 1st, after having been retrograde for 3 weeks. Now, Mercury started in Cancer in the middle of June and then scooted back into the sign Gemini. So in the beginning part of July, we have Mercury in Gemini and Venus in Gemini. So despite the fact that the sun is in Cancer, the energy is still a little bit intellectual and there is this kind of objective energy. Later in the month, in the middle part of the month, both Mercury and Venus enter Cancer, and that's when it gets a lot more sensitive. Mercury enters Cancer on July 12th, and that's the same day as the full moon in Capricorn. Now that full moon in Capricorn is always interesting because there is such an incredible polarity between the sun in Cancer and the moon in Capricorn. Capricorn is very bottom line, pragmatic. It's very objective and systematic. You know, it's very business-like. And the Cancer sun sign energy is very sensitive and nurturing and compassionate and mothering. So when we have that particular full moon in Capricorn, we have this ability to manage our emotions, to step back and be practical, to be objective in that bottom line sort of energy. So it's going to be interesting with Mercury entering Cancer that same day that we have the full moon in Capricorn. On the 16th of July, we have Jupiter moving into Leo. Jupiter has spent a year transiting the sign Cancer. Remember, Jupiter's energy is expansive. There is a sense of reward and sometimes even luck with that particular planet. And so now Jupiter in the middle of the month will be moving into Leo and spending a year in that sign. So if you have Leo planets or perhaps a Leo ascendant, you're going to be finding that it's a time for you to expand. You're going to be finding that it's a time for you to enjoy some reward. That's always so wonderful when Jupiter comes to visit. And then we have Saturn going direct on the 20th of July. Saturn has been transiting the sign Scorpio. So what's going to happen is starting on the 20th and moving for about the next 6 or 8 months, Saturn is going to be really hitting that second part of Scorpio, that second half, from the middle degrees around the 15-16 degree mark all the way to the end of Scorpio. So if you have Scorpio planets in that second half of Scorpio, you're going to get visited by Saturn. Saturn is the taskmaster. It's going to work you over in a sense in helping you to create more discipline, in helping you to begin a new cycle in really going past your limitations. But Saturn turning direct helps everybody because then we can engage that Saturn energy, that ability to connect with our ambitions and really get things done on the physical plane. And then one last thing, this is a busy month. Mars on the 25th of July finally ends the transit in Libra. Remember, Mars went retrograde in Libra, and so it's been transiting that sign for much longer than it normally would. Normally, Mars races through a sign in 6 weeks, but this has been a 7-month transit. So Mars is going to enter Scorpio toward the end of the month on the 25th. And Mars in Scorpio is incredibly powerful because it's one of the rulers of that sign. So we're going to find from the 25th and 6 weeks after that, that Mars is going to be really working with our passion and our intensity. It's kind of like a dog after a bone energy. In other words, you set your focus and you go for it and you can get through brick walls when Mars is in Scorpio because your physical energy merges with intense passion and focus. Personally, I love Mars in Scorpio, but it's probably because I am a Scorpio. So to summarize the astrological patterns for July 2014, remember Mercury goes direct on the 1st, and you're probably going to feel a sense of fruition from something that you started in the middle part of June. The month begins with Venus and Mercury in Gemini, which is kind of intellectual and objective, but moves into Cancer in the middle of the month. So the second half of the month will probably be more sensitive and emotional than the first half. On the 12th, we have that big full moon in Capricorn. On the 16th, we have Jupiter finishing its transit in Cancer and entering Leo. On the 20th, we have Saturn going direct in Scorpio. And on the 25th, we have Mars entering Scorpio. July is a busy, busy month with lots of new cycles starting. I look forward to seeing you next month, and I'll talk about Mars and Saturn conjuncting in Scorpio and how you can use that to really move your life forward. Thank you. I'm Kathy Rose.